For a while now, different sections of society have been calling for a dialogue between President Hakainde Hichilema and former President Edgar Chagwa Lungu. Most people argued to say the only person that had leverage over both of them and both of them could listen to is the late President Rupia Banda, because it's argued to say he was very instrumental in ensuring that Edgar Lungu becomes president, because he rode off Rupia Banda's popularity in Eastern Province, and not only that, he was critical for him to push him through the numbers that made him win the elections in 2016 against Hakainde Hichilema and GBM. And then, if you remember, just after the elections in 2021, there were rumors to say Edgar Chagwa Lungu wasn't willing to concede because the statements that started coming from the Patriotic Front. I think Davis Muir at the time, the Secretary General of the Patriotic Front, started alleging to say they would not accept the results because they were arguing the opposition had rigged the election, meaning the UPN, they had rigged the elections at the time. So the only person that sobered them out, in the meeting that they first had between Hakainde Hichilema and Edgar Chagwa Lungu, was at Rupia Banda's house. So after Rupia Banda died, people have been arguing to say who's got the capacity to unite these two individuals or to call them to a meeting so that they can interact and have a proper dialogue. And people have been saying there's nobody in the nation right now, because Edgar Lungu is the only living president that we have a former president at the moment. And this is what happened. So the Oasis Forum had written to Edgar Chagwa Lungu's office of the 6th president of the Republic of Zambia, Edgar Chagwa Lungu's. So dialogue between myself and President Hakainde Hichilema. So Edgar Lungu put out certain points to say he is willing to have a meeting with Hakainde Hichilema based off if he meets those conditions that he put up there. And then he signs it off to the bishops that had written to him. You can see at the bottom there, bishops and reverends that had called for this dialogue. And one of the key points that Edgar Lungu had brought up is this Mulungushi International Conference Center 23 October PF alleged conference that was organized by Maus Sampa at the time. So Edgar Lungu argued to say President Hakainde Hichilema should stop funding the PF because he alleges to say he was behind this. And then if you will notice, most of the PF platforms have been posting this to say, how is it possible you can argue that the state is not behind Maus Sampa's alleged conference if he was using state police? As you can see, those are the police that were at the entrance of Mulungushi Conference Center at the time. And obviously, the State House responded immediately after Lungu put, the office of the former president put up that response to the Oasis Forum. The State House also responded. So President Hichilema reaffirms commitment to dialogue, which was signed off by the chief communications specialist from State House, Grace Onamasaka. So you can see, say, both sides are willing to have that dialogue. But the preconditions are what what State House has issues with. So George Mutonga also says this shouldn't be laughed at. President Hakainde Hichilema should accept this, because this can be the opportunity to look at the future, how we all do politics. They need to meet. So when Edgar Lungu's letter made the rounds, people started weighing that's George Mutonga for the US giving his 2 cents. Obviously, the Ministry of Information and Media also reposted the same letter in response to Edgar Lungu from President Hakainde Hichilema. President Hichilema reaffirms commitment to dialogue. Also, Emmanuel Mwamba also put up the same. He put up a caption to say, don't put preconditions to our dialogue. I'm still committed to our dialogue, President Hakainde Hichilema. But these are the conditions that Edgar Lungu had put up, which President Hakainde Hichilema wasn't comfortable with, as reported by Phoenix FM. So President Hichilema describes Edgar Lungu's conditions to dialogue as strange and contemptuous and outrageous. So President Hakainde Hichilema has reaffirmed his commitment to dialogue with his predecessor, Edgar Lungu. President Hichilema says he has taken note of the response and conditions set by Mr. Lungu in relation to the proposed dialogue by the Oasis Forum and other church mother bodies, and acknowledges that stakeholders have genuine intentions in proposing this dialogue, as they have done in previous administrations. In a statement, State House Chief Communications Specialist Grace Onamasaka, however, says President is concerned about the preconditions Mr. Lungu has set for the dialogue, Mr. Lungu demands that the head of state ceases funding the two factions of the Patriotic Front, and that you should restore the records of the Patriotic Front at the Registrar of Societies to reflect the party's leadership as stood before 23rd October 2023. Mr. Hichilema says, Mr. Hamasaka says, President Hichilema finds these demands not only strange, but also contemptuous and preposterous, emphasizing that he has no involvement in the internal conflicts of the former ruling party. He adds that President Hakainde is a firm believer of the rule of law and will never interfere with the operations of our governance institutions such as the Registrar of Societies. So that's the response coming from State House saying President Hakainde has nothing to do with what happened to PF and the conflict that they had. Otherwise, if Lungu comes into this dialogue with conditions of that, the likelihood of that happening won't take place. Most likely, the former head of state is going to respond to that, and most likely this dialogue will take place. We'll wait and see what fruits come off it. If nothing, I'm pretty sure you would not agree to go and meet at State House as one of those conditions. But we'll wait and see if it succeeds. If nothing, obviously, it continues. Whilst Munia Zulu, Luvezi Member of Parliament, keeps on commenting on national issues as you expect him. So he had this to say with regard to this dialogue between President Hakainde Hichilema and Edgar Lungu. He says, how do you dialogue with a person who wants you down? How do you dialogue with the same person that wants you to suffer? How do you dialogue with someone who wants all your members are dead? How do you dialogue with someone who wants everyone down? Papatili, Tuafreniko, Nama answers. So he simply says, how is that possible? So simply reaffirming Edgar Lungu's thing to say, allegations to say the UPND is behind those conflicts, the internal wrangles that are happening within the PF, and then how do you expect that dialogue to take place? And then he asks let the priests intervene. That's Munia Zulu, who remains the Member of Parliament, putting in his 2 cents. Anyway, we'll wait and see how this plays out. But it's a good look if the churches are able to execute it, and it happens, and they do sit down and the fruits come off it. It will be good for a nation, because the tension has been building up between the two and the two parties, the former ruling party and the current ruling party, UPND. So I'll keep you posted if anything fruitful comes off that. That's the feedback from Munia Zulu. I'll keep you posted, ladies and gentlemen.